Maria, played by Samuel Longcomban, and Gary, Mikey North, were left shocked at the end of Friday night's episode of Coronation Street when Laura Nealon, Kel Allen, took the blame over Rick Nealon's, Greg Wood, death. The troubled character had learned hours before Gary had killed her ex-husband, but she wanted her daughter, Kelly Nealon, Millie Gibson, to have someone who would care for her once she died, as she knew the killer saw her, the youngster, as his own. This doesn't mean in upcoming scenes on the ITV soap the rest of Weatherfield will not discover what really happened, and this could eventually lead to Maria's departure. Speaking with Express.co.uk and other media, the actor who plays Gary, Mikey, hinted at how Maria could take a lot of the fall for his character's misdemeanors. The actor explained, "Maria has been very forgiving. I think, in the end, she's almost been the one that's this made him keep it in. I think she's been saying, listen, you've come this far, don't do anything about it. I think she wants him to keep it secret. But in the end, it just becomes too much, and this is the right thing to do for him," he explained and expressed. Co.uk has expanded on this to create a new theory. Although Laura has taken the heat at the moment, meaning Gary is no longer the #1 suspect in the investigation into Rick's death, the dodgy dealer's guilty conscience could get the better of him. Gary would see how hurt Kelly would be over Rick's death, and once her mother dies, she could be furious with Laura for taking her father away from her. Although she didn't want to believe it at first, the youngster could finally get her head around the idea that she can no longer ask her mother any questions following her death from stomach cancer. With Laura's name being slated and with no ability to defend herself, Gary could tell Kelly the real truth about Rick. As she would be so angry the dodgy dealer allowed her dying mother to take the rap, she would waste no time calling the authorities. This is when Gary could finally confess to killing Rick, telling the police Laura had nothing to do with it and was merely trying to protect her daughter. Of course, the residents of Weatherfield are a bunch of gossips, and they would begin surmising who else knew about Gary. Having married the killer after he murdered Rick, Maria could become public enemy #1 as her neighbors turn against her. This wouldn't be the first time they have done so, as after Robert Preston, Tristan Gamil, was killed on Christmas Day in 2019, they discovered Gary was a loan shark. The community shunned the couple as they thought Maria would have been in cahoots with her partner at the time, not realizing she was just as horrified to find out the truth. Having given her another chance, they could decide it is time for the new councillor of the local area to be given the boot. Confronting Maria about whether she knew about Gary, the residents of Weatherfield would be mortified to realize their suspicions were right. They would make her life a misery, particularly with regards to her new position as a councillor, as they would tarnish her name with the local authorities. As they would have no choice but to take the role away from Maria, she would start to contemplate moving away from Manchester. With no job, no husband and no worthy reputation to uphold on the cobbles, she could realize it would be the worst place for her to live. This would mean she would be removed from the place she calls home, as it would be the lynch mob who drives her out of town. How well do you know your British soaps? How many times has Ian Beale been married in EastEnders? What is the name of Bianca Jackson and Ricky Butcher's son on EastEnders? On EastEnders in 2002, who accidentally ran Jamie Mitchell over in his car, which caused his death? How many times has Corey's Steve MacDonald been married? What happened to Emily Bishop in Coronation Street? Who murdered Maxine Peacock in Coronation Street in 2003? Which incident in 1993 killed off 4 characters in Emmerdale? When did the show stop being known as Emmerdale Farm? On what day did Hollyoaks air its first episode? What was the name of the much-loved Coronation Street pet dog who was put down in April 2020 after 14 years? 1996 saw the arrival of one of Hollyoaks' all-time bad boys and rival, a Kurt Benson, but who is he? Who is the longest-serving character on Coronation Street? Who shot Phil in EastEnders? How many fires have there been at Corey's Rover's return? Get out of my pub. You're no soaps fan. You're either too young to remember the big lines or have better things to do on weekday evenings. Casual viewer, you watch them sometimes so you kinda know what's been going on. Die-hard fan, you love watching the soaps so much your entire week is planned around when they air. Although her husband would be in prison and would need her support, she knows she is the one who helped seal his fate. With a guilty conscience lying heavy on her shoulders, she could decide she is going to start a new chapter abroad. From her new home, she could begin the process of divorcing Gary, who would be devastated to learn the one person he thought was in his corner had left him alone. This would bring an end to Maria's 20 years on the show, and it would be surprising after all the drama she has been through this would be the storyline to see her leave. However, would the door be fully closed on her story, or could she return in a few years' time to settle some scores with those who ran her out of town? Although Maria's future looks uncertain, Gary star Mikey has discussed how he felt being a villain on the program. The actor said, "When I was younger, and I think this is my 14th or 15th year now, in these interviews all I said was, I just want to be the bad guy. I love being the bad guy and getting into fights and all of that. But maybe it's me getting a little bit older. It's all good doing that, but playing the nicer, happy, Jack the lad, Terry's a bit of comedy in there, and I've definitely started to enjoy that more as I've got older. I like the best of both worlds of getting to do bits of both."